Hey guys, welcome to Chef Grace's Place. I'm really excited because tonight is movie night. I'm gonna get together with a group of my friends virtually to watch Hocus Pocus. I'm really excited about it. And of course, like for any movie night, I need some popcorn. So you might be wondering, Grace, why aren't you just popping a mag in the microwave? Growing up, I had a lot of stomach issues. And one of the things that would really agitate me was the preservatives they would put in microwave popcorn and even movie theater popcorn. It took a while to figure out, but every time I came home from the movies, whew, my stomach hurt. So I learned how to make it on the stove. And it's actually really easy, healthier for you, less calories, and you get to change up the seasoning and the flavors whenever you want. So it's worth it. It's a little bit dangerous, so if you're doing this with young kids, make sure you keep an eye on them, just like you would if you were using Jiffy Pop. To make this, you're going to need a pot or a bowl that's metal and can go on the stove. I use this pot all the time because it has a rounded bottom. And that's really good because when the kernels pop, they'll stack up on each other instead of going back down to the bottom. That will cause the popcorn to burn faster. You're also going to need the lid. One of the most important things you're going to need is 2 dry side towels. This is so you don't burn yourself. I gotta get those. The next thing you're going to need is some popcorn. I'm using yellow popcorn from Whole Foods. It's right down the street from me, so that's why I got it. Usually I would just get a cheaper brand at a cheaper store. There's all varieties of corn that you can try out, mix and match. I'm going with classic yellow corn, but recently I tried a blue corn and the kernel was blue, and when it popped it was super like white because it was on that bluer saturation scale, right? Or bluer hue scale. You know, which it looked really cool, but I actually didn't really like the flavor of it too much. The yellow corn tastes more buttery for some reason. The other ingredients are very simple. Some oil to pop it in. I use vegetable oil and some salt. To season the popcorn, I'm going to use some fine sea salt, and I'm actually going to grind the fine sea salt up even finer. This way, all the salt will get in the nooks and crannies of the popcorn, and I won't have to re-season it later. And I'm only going to do a few pinches of the salt, but I'm going to grind it up first. So it's a lot of salt, but it's just because I need to cover the blades in the bottom so this way it actually grinds. But I'll use this salt for other popcorns I make. That's not good. Well, technical difficulties. The spice grinder doesn't work, so something's wrong with it. I don't know. The blade's not moving around. It's like it's stuck. So we're just gonna use good old salt. So usually I just do enough to cover the bottom. I'm gonna try to measure it out. That's about a tablespoon or so of oil. When it comes to the oil, we just want to make sure that we're coating all of the kernels. Gonna add a good Italian pinch. I'd say half a teaspoon maybe, maybe less. Quarter teaspoon sounds about right. Mix it up. Get that on the stove. Now it's really important you also have a bowl ready to go for when your popcorn is ready, because if we leave it in the pot when it's ready, it'll burn because the pot is going to be super hot. So the way popcorn works is you have a dried kernel of corn, but there's a little bit of moisture on the inside, and when the kernel gets hot enough, the water boils inside the kernel and it explodes the kernel, and that's what makes the pop in popcorn. The steam will come out the sides. Another thing is you're gonna have to shake the pot so you don't burn the popcorn. So we're basically sauteing, right? Because saute, which means to jump, you're moving things around in the pan, because if they were to stay flat, they would just burn. So we really want a lot of movement, which is why we have these two side towels. And I'm gonna hold the lid and one of the handles here. And when I start to hear a pop, I'm gonna start shaking the pot back and forth. It takes a minute, so be patient, but if your popcorn's over a year old, it's possible that the kernels won't pop and you'll burn them, so always keep that in mind when you're buying popcorn. This is of course because the water inside the kernel will dry out and there'll be nothing to explode the kernel. Oh! Okay, so it's slowing. I know it's done. Get that. Also make sure your sink is clear. Alright guys, now quickly, I'm gonna get this into the bowl somehow in front of the camera. So the ones stuck to the bottom, they're burnt because I let it sit. So I could get this nice camera angle for you, which might not even been that nice. So we're gonna leave those. Now this is so hot. So immediately, you know, either let it cool down on the stove and don't touch it, or put it under the cold water. That's why I like to have my sink clear before I do this. This is a great opportunity to use garlic powder or paprika or Old Bay seasoning. Whatever you want to do, you can get really creative with this. One of my favorites is Parmesan cheese and garlic powder. So good. Alright, today I'm just going to do a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. I love fresh cracked pepper on popcorn. And I'm just going to do a little bit. I don't usually do an oil on top, but today I'm just looking for that. A little bit of movie theater, greasy finger type thing, you know? A little bit more salt. Since I didn't grind the salt because my spice grinder was broken, a lot of the salt did stick to the pan. So, need a little bit more salt. I'm just going to toss it together. Thanks for stopping by at Grace's place and hanging out with me. I'm going to go watch my movie, and I'll see you next time at Chef Grace's place.